Hi, listeners. Today we interview Dr. Ashley Elliott. She has worked with children, adults, and adolescents from various multicultural backgrounds. Her clinical experience includes inpatient mental health, community mental health, and school settings in the DC metropolitan area. In 2015, Dr. Elliott launched Innovator Academy and Vivid Kids. These are youth programs offered free of charge to youth in the Washington, D.C. area. She released her first book, In My Safe Space, which is a collection of therapeutic writings aimed at normalizing vulnerability and discussing mental, spiritual, and emotional health. She also has launched Nights at the Round Table, which is a monthly event for creatives and professionals of color that focus on creating a strong sense of support, community, and personal and professional growth. We had a great time on this, not really an interview, more of a discussion. You know how my shows go. Please welcome Dr. Ashley Elliott.
I'm not the house of cards that falls down easily. Oh, I'm strong enough to handle what you throw me.
Welcome to Mental Health News Radio. I'm your host, Kristin and Dr. Just what are we going to discuss? The intimacy that is mental health. Let's continue to make it as comfortable as discussing brain health or heart health. This show has been on the air for several years and we have amazing co-hosts. And then we created a network of podcasters on mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com, a place where every possible facet of mental well-being can be talked about openly. My show, after several hundred interviews, the format is this: intimate, deep, funny, touching, sometimes uncomfortable, but always vulnerable conversations with interesting people. The goal is to have you, our listening family, many of you who have become my good friends, feel as though you are listening in on private conversations. Thank you for tuning in and becoming part of this amazing journey with me, and now with our network of podcasters. Just knowing this podcast might be helping any of you realize you are not alone on this journey called being a human being makes doing this podcast worth every second.
After all, we promised we'd be cordial.
Dr. Ashley Elliott, thank you so much for coming on Mental Health News Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, I always love asking people that get into this field why they would choose this field, because it's not, you gotta really have a love for mental health to want to get into this field. So what was it for you?
For me, it was a combination of things. It was being a little Black girl born in the late 80s, but living in the 90s and seeing homelessness, seeing drug abuse, and being exposed to, drug abuse, physical abuse, and just wanting to find a solution being a child. And then having my own experience by being taken to a psychologist to process these things and realizing that psychologist was not a good fit for me. And at 4, telling my mom, I want to be the person who does it better. I want to be the person who actually listens to what kids like me has to say instead of making them feel small. And that's what I've been wanting to do all my life.
Good for you. Boy, 4 years old to know that is your calling, to know it at that young of an age.
Yeah, I'm blessed that my mother had the, wherewithal to say, hey, let's take this girl to talk to someone about some of the things that I might not be equipped to help her with.
Yeah, it's good, mama. So in, going through all the schooling that you have to do to have that, PhD, how was that journey for you? How was the community, that you're around, and family and just community in general? How supportive were they of that also?
It was everyone in my family has always known that I was going to go to, at the least, graduate school. So everyone in my family has been really supportive. I've always been a geek, a nerd. So all my friends were just like, okay, she's going to do this. It's fine. And I got so much support from my family and friends. But when I finally got to grad school, I realized how divisive some of my cohort members were. And there were a lot of racial and gender biased things that were going on.
Yeah.
So luckily I did have the family support to keep me going through.
And I hear a baby in the background.
Baby just woke up.
You know what's so nice about this time? I mean, we've got to look for the bright spots, right? So we're doing this on March 26th of 2020, and we have all the, regular TV show hosts like Jimmy Fallon and Conan O'Brien and, blah, 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 list goes on. And they're all having to do things normally heavily produced in a studio, and they're having to do them from home.
Right.
And that means that in the middle of them recording a show, a dog or a child or whatever. So it's been really nice to hear people be relieved and not, I've got to quiet my child or I've got to quiet my dog, or to be like, yeah, that's just the way it is. Because you know what? That's real life.
Right. Exactly. I feel like this time has shown us, it's okay to be human.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay to be human. Amazing concept, eh?
You would have thought somebody would have written that down by now and passed it out. I don't know.
Exactly. Well, do you mind talking a little bit about, the struggles that you had towards getting into the field? You mentioned a few things loosely, but do you have anything that kind of stands out that you feel comfortable sharing?
Oh, well, if I joke, my mama must have had tape running through her veins because I'm so transparent. I know for me, one of the biggest things actually was when I became pregnant in my program. There was this really big to-do about me choosing, did I want to be a mom or did I want to be a psychologist?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to finish this program or do you want to start a family? And at the time, the school I was going to was notorious for telling women, if you're going to get pregnant, you can't work, and make sure you plan out with your husband or your significant other what you're going to do from home. And you told a few of my cohort members, just get married so you don't have to worry about bills. And I thought to myself, how funny is it to be in school for something that you wanted to do all your life just to heal people and see it also create so many wounds? I was at a crossroads thinking, very, very pregnant, probably around 5 to 6 months, and just going to my advisors and talking about finishing the program and getting hit with all these ultimatums and thinking, wow, have you gone this far to just shelve it? And at that point, I realized you put in too much time, something you enjoy your life, and you definitely taken out enough loans for you to stick this thing out. And everyone told me I would never get picked for internship because I was visibly very round. And
oh man,
very discouraging. But I just, talked to my support system, pulled up my boots, and the little brown girl aced every internship there was because I knew what I hate to be. Sometimes I hate to be so spiritual sometimes, but I knew what my creator told me that I needed to do. And I knew that I could find a balance, and I knew that this probably was happening to other people or other women, which was more of a reason for me to get into this, because one of those women will need somebody to talk to and process this with about them. And they want someone who's had this experience or knows. I've had so many experiences in life that have really molded who I am. And I know I'm not alone in that, but I also know that everybody can't talk about those experiences so freely without knowing that they're safe. And that's the essence of what I want to do.
Well, good for you. I mean, it's it's an interesting thing. I remember me being pregnant and trying and switching careers at that time and thinking, how is this going to work? And I did it anyway. The only downside for me was I did it. I went from working night shift to graveyard shift.
Ooh.
It was a management position. So it was definitely a step up. I was pregnant, and I will say it definitely made things harder after he was born because he really wanted to be up all night because that's when mama was while he was not born. So that one thing I probably didn't time right. But anyway, he got over it.
good.
So what is your focus in your practice? Everyone has kind of a focus that they hone in on. What would that be for you?
I love to say I specialize in urban trauma. I
Mm.
am a little black girl from Washington, D.C. So I've seen how the environment wears on the mental health and well-being of those who share and grew up in that same environment. So I'm very much, I have a community focus, but I also specialize in treating those with chronic and severe mental illness.
Mm.
And the one thing I've never put a pin in is my exact demographic, because my youngest client was 3 and my oldest was 87.
Wow.
And I see everybody from every walk of life as far as race, ethnicity, and culture goes. So even though I love the urban trauma and I love severe mental illness and chronic mental illness, I also love just being so interested in everyone. And I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to talk to someone, no matter what walk of life they represent.
Right, exactly. And that can be difficult. It's an interesting thing when you have to hang your stuff at the door as a counselor. Well, you don't have to, some don't, but the really good ones know, okay, if their religion or their politics or whatever it is does not fit with a client's, belief systems, in order to be effective at what you do, you really do have to hang it at the door.
Exactly. It's so we have too much of that outside of the office, and people want to leave those things behind. I've had people sit in front of me who have admittedly been racist. I've had people who sat in front of me who voicefully shared their political views, and I still thought that they were one of my favorite clients because of the work they were putting in. You put those things aside and just see the person for the vessel of emotion and promise that they are.
Oh, beautifully said. Beautifully said. Do you ever get this at family gatherings or gatherings with friends that aren't also in the business that you're in am I being analyzed by her? What's going on? Is she going to analyze me? Do you ever have anything like that come up?
I wish that every time someone said that to me, I had $1, because I would be so rich. I remember when I first started going to grad school, and people, you're dating casually. They're like, what do you do? What are you into? And as soon as I opened my mouth, what am I thinking? First of all, I said psychology, not
psychic.
And second, it's you're not going to stop me every 3 sentences to ask me what I feel about that. And so now, depending on the situation, if you don't know me well, I may not tell you what I do, or I'll say I'm a mom, because some people also find it so intimidating. That the thought of, oh, this person, I can't be so open with this person, or I got to be on my defense with this person because she's really, really analyzing what I'm saying. And that may be true sometime, but the other times I'm just thinking about when I can get a slice of cheesecake. It's not really that big a deal in my I know how to compartmentalize and turn it on and turn it off, but apparently we do this in our sleep, right?
Oh my gosh, I can't even help it. I try not to do it myself, and I don't, have the degree to back it up. I just, been in a lot of counseling at a very, very young age and at different times throughout my life. And I've interviewed a lot of you. So it's an interesting journey to sit on that side of the table. How about you, with what you grew up with yourself and what you experienced? Obviously you've had your own trauma to deal with. How do you take care of yourself when you are in the business of caring for others, child, and also your career, caring for others literally with their mental well-being?
Oh my gosh. I always say when I was made, they made sure that I had a sense of humor, because he knew what was going to happen. He said, I have to armor her with sense of humor. She has to know how to laugh at things. My ability to laugh at situations. My humor has definitely gotten me through. That is one of the best coping skills I have. But other than that, I have 2 little girls, so I love spending time with them. They remind me of the good things that are in the world. They remind me, of why I have to take care of myself. My friends and I like to cook. We like to go. I'm at an age now where if you tell me anywhere I need to go and it's not a conference or something really, really cool and I have to pay for it, I'm not going to do it. I'd rather just be at home with my friends and my family, cooking, watching some movies, debating over crazy things we've seen on the internet, and just talking about what we plan to do as humans and not solely as professionals. And sometimes we throw that stuff in. It's the small things that really are self-care for me, just staying connected with people that have your best interest in mind, remembering to get a nap in, which I'm going to do still today. Thank you, quarantine time. And, just I also try as much as I can to give myself mommy moments, where those can be anywhere from like 5 minutes to an hour a day, where I do something that's focused entirely on me.
Good for you. Good for you. How are you doing, during this time, and knowing that, the way that you work definitely has changed. I know this from, the other people that I work with too, that also do what you do, but the stress level of your clients is off the Richter scale also.
Yes, my goodness. At this current time, my office, we decided to move completely to teletherapy on Friday, but it took effect really this week. So this is the first full week of seeing teletherapy clients for me. And even Friday to Wednesday has been wow. Everyone, of course, their anxiety levels are so high, their concerns, in every aspect of their life, financial, relationship, familial, it's all over the place. So I remember coming home after the first full day of teletherapy, because it also takes a lot more out of you to do teletherapy because it's not as intimate. And you don't have that one-to-one, one-to-one face-to-face relationship. It makes things so much easier to see. You feel emotions differently when you're in a room with the person. And then you put a screen in and you're trying to get someone to talk about the things that didn't happen with them as a child. And you're like, oh, did you just move off at your clock?
Right.
So that has been a little difficult for me. I feel like I've had to do a lot more to get my clients to cope with it, because some of them hate it. And some I've also lost some clients because some saying, I just can't do that right now. I need face-to-face contact and this feels weird for me. Or I've lost clients because of their financial situation. They're uncertain of when they can go back. And it hurts to because they also know I have a livelihood to maintain.
Exactly.
So that's been a little saddening for me.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I've had people, that were slated to start their own podcast, and because of what's, going on right now, they, are putting that on hold. And that's part of what helps fund, this network. Luckily, I have other streams of income coming in from different places, but it definitely, put me on notice that, the trickle down, the economic trickle down effect, we don't fully realize what that's going to be like. And that's going to cause an enormity of stress on people. I'm finding for myself, I'm on all these phone calls, I'm talking to all of these people just because I've been in this for so long, about, the big impact of this on society as a whole and with people in many different countries. I'm having to really check myself at the door with getting irritated at people that want to argue over the mundane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, listen, I don't want to talk about how, my car was parked 2 feet closer than what you feel is appropriate, or, whatever. It doesn't, I just kind of look at them and I have to tell myself, do not treat this person like they're stupid for caring about that, because that stuff is still a part of regular human life.
Right. Absolutely. It's been interesting navigating through that thought process while I'm at stores, because I only go to the girls go out, and then I come back, when I'm at work they're being watched, and go to the grocery store, and seeing the normal things that I used to allow, or people used to allow, being seen as frowned upon. And it's like, how dare you start putting your groceries on the conveyor belt before I finish putting mine, because it's a crazy time. And I remind people that, you know what, it's okay that you're a little crazy or a little easy, because if you're like me, you've never experienced anything like this in your life.
Right.
And if you don't have this experience in your historical toolbox, how would I expect you to be an expert?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So much grace and compassion, and the same grace and compassion for yourself if you do lose your stuff for a minute. You know what I mean? Like I had a moment with someone where I just leveled them, or I didn't level them, but I said, this is ridiculous. I am not going to get into this ridiculous stuff. I have shows I need to do, blah, 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 blah. And then came, back to my office and felt so disgusted with myself and ashamed. And then I also had to go, okay, you know what? You're human. It's okay.
Absolutely.
It's just none of us know how to do this. It's like you just said, the toolbox. This is new in the history of our experience. So none of us know the right way to do this. What's the right way to live through a pandemic? I don't know.
I have no idea. They didn't teach me that in high school, and I must have just avoided that class in college.
Right.
I did not take Pandemic 101. So excuse me if I drop the ball, or you do too. I mean, it's okay. Like, I've literally laughed at myself yesterday. I can't even remember what I was. Oh, I was trying to order diapers. All the diapers were sold out in my daughter's size, because wash your hands means buy things you don't need yet. And I'm going to buy the diapers, and they're like $125 a case. This case is usually $26. And
what?
Oh my God, I burst into the most hysterical laughter that I'm sure would be indicative of a psychotic break. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, how will I was like, what is happening? Why are we price gouging diapers? Like, and I remember, no one knows. No one, you've been telling people, no one knows. No one knows. So people are hoarding because pandemic means, bunker, and there's a nuclear arms horn that's going to go off in like 4 hours. It's going to be the purge. I've heard everything. So I'm just like, okay, be kind to yourself. You had a moment. It's okay that you had your moment. And then I found somewhere else to find diapers. I found somewhere else, but I've just been trying to be so kind to myself and trying to allow people to really vent and really express themselves in the best possible way they can. And of course, we all say we don't judge people. I don't judge, but some secretly we do on the inside. So just being a little bit more gracious with folks, because we don't know how long this is going to last. And we haven't been through it before. And just be also remembering, you know what, if you get mad at someone that serious, pass them a referral card. Maybe process.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I know. And I got all upset about a community party where, there was going to be over 10 people sitting together, and it was on the same day that my state happened to say no more gatherings, blah, blah, blah. And I was upset at the person that owned the complex that was allowing this to happen. And I had to sit back, and they may hear about it, me being upset because I said it in front of somebody else. And I just had learned that a dear colleague of mine passed away that day from this. Someone else was sick, another with it, so I had to go, okay, the same compassion that you would give to someone else about you don't know the extenuating circumstances, give it to yourself too, that you just flew off the handle about something that you probably really didn't need to fly off the handle about,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what are you seeing and wanting to put out there to your clients in terms of how do we gracefully and with our mental health in mind step into a new normal?
So the message I've been telling everybody, along with, of course, so to be kind with yourself because of the lack of experience we all have, is to take this time to really see and prioritize what you need for you to be the best you. Because this is a time where a lot of us have been sat down, either you're not working, most of us, not the people that are considered essential on our front lines and our hospitals and our streets. I'm so thankful for them. But most of us are sitting down at home or a home office conducting work or teaching our kids. And we get to see our families, we get to see our spouses, we get to see ourselves in a different way. We see what we need, what we've completely been pampered by or been privileged to have. And it's eye-opening. So now you know that you can make a way without having this amount of care, this amount of structure, or this amount of money. So you're prioritizing how your life should be, what you should be focused on. So that's one thing. And also with social distancing, this is a time, for those who can, is a time for you to analyze your relationships. This is a time for you to think about what you need to work on to be a better friend, to be a better mother, a better brother, a better spouse, whatever it may be, and to see if certain relationships you have need to be carried over the threshold when we return to normalcy. This is the time to just evaluate, revamp, revise. And once we get back into our regular habits and routines, shaking off what's unnecessary and keeping what is truly essential for you to be happy and for you to walk in your purpose. There's no better time than now. Let's not focus on the negative, all the negative that this period brings, but focus on how it could be transformative for yourself.
Brilliant, insightful answer. I absolutely love it. We're going to use that as a clip to promote this show. That was fantastic.
My mother would be so proud.
Can you share with our listeners where they can find out more about you and possibly need to come to you for some telehealth counseling?
Yes. So I'm on social media as my alter ego, Dr. Vivid. It's because I'm bubbly and bright sometimes. So that's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And also I have my website, vividinnovators.com. You can come to the website and find out about a lot of the projects I have going on now, past projects, and what I'm all about. And if you do need therapeutic services, you can go to pwsarlington.com.
Fantastic. Well, it actually has been wonderful to hear little baby noises in the background. I want this for every show from now on.
You want to take this one and travel? You can do that.
When we're allowed to again, yeah. But thank you so much for reaching out and for also agreeing to come on the show, especially during this very auspicious time.
No, thank you for having me. And thank you for still giving me a safe place to talk to an adult. Because children have been monopolizing my time.
I bet they have. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Mental Health News Radio. Hi, listeners. I'll make it quick. These are some really cool places that give discounts and other cool things for listeners of Mental Health News Radio Network. If you want to get amazing help with healing from narcissistic abuse, go to healfromanarcissist.com. If you want CBD products that are the best of the best, I use them myself, go to PROZE.com and use the code mentalhealth20, mentalhealth20. If you want to get daily perk ups that help retrain your brain to think more positively, go to perkupdaily.com. And also,
just because this one's fun. snarkycandles.com. I guarantee you'll love them. Snarky with a Y, SNARKY candles.com. And don't forget, if you want to hear all the shows on the network about first responders, you can go to firstrespondermentalhealthnetwork.com, and all of our shows that focus on narcissistic abuse, narcissisticabusehealingnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and back to the show.
Sometimes I'm passive aggressive, but never without good intentions. I heat up and act on my emotions.
Thanks so much for listening to Mental Health News Radio. Our podcast can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and hundreds of other podcast apps, or you can visit our website at mentalhealthnewsradio.com. If you have a question or would like to be a guest, become a podcaster on our network, or join the amazing organizations that help keep us on the air, please email us at info@mhnrnetwork.com. Get ready for that special goodbye from our resident therapy dog, Miles, and a special thanks to Emily Sohn for letting us use her incredible song, Cordial, for our podcast music. Listen to the full song on SoundCloud at emily.sonne.
Don't be surprised when I don't hate on you. After all, we promised we'd be cordial. Sometimes in you I can find it.
Good boy.